James, can LA hold on to the playoffs while they wait for an aged LeBron in 2019? Plus, the Warriors, 51 points and fine, right? Golden State is scary good, but do they still scare the rest of the NBA? And are the Celtics too talented? Jason Tatum chats with the most successful Celtic in the last 25 years. Next.
Welcome to NBA Countdown, presented by Mountain Dew Ice.
Paul, we just referenced you as the most successful Celtic in the last 25 years. That felt good.
20 pounds ago. That highlight was 20 pounds ago.
Yeah, we all were. Studio H, that is us right now. We're in Los Angeles. That, of course, is Stan Van Gundy.
Coach in the building.
Somewhat coachable Paul Pierce. My name is Michelle. I think it's a really good NBA doubleheader tonight. Celtics, Raptors, Pelicans, Warriors. We have a lot to say and assess about all those teams. Did you hear what Terry Rozier said? We'll get to that. But we're running behind. Let's run the stack. And, of course, we start where we always start, right here in Los Angeles. The health of one LeBron James and the corresponding health of his team. His agent, Rich Paul, telling ESPN that LeBron will miss at least the next 2 Lakers games, meaning he'll have missed at least 13 straight by the time he gets back. Now, they have peaked as high as 4th in the West when he was injured. They're down to barely squeaking by in that 8th spot right now. Reports are that he's going to practice and all that good stuff. But even when he does return, are they legitimately at risk of not making the playoffs at all?
I don't think they're at risk of not making the playoffs, but that shows you how great LeBron is, because before they got hurt, he was a 4th seed. But the thing is about this injury, he's getting older. If I was the Lakers and upper management, I would hold him out as long as possible, because realistically, what are the expectations for the Lakers this year? I don't think they're a championship contender team. I think they're going to put all their eggs in the basket next year. So even if you held them out to an all-star break, let these young guys develop. Because what's the ceiling?
I agree.
What is it really? There's no need to rush him.
Are you okay with that?
Well, I wouldn't hold him out. I'd hold him out, though, to make sure that his health is taken care of. I mean, you need this guy. He signed a 4-year contract. You want him for the length of that. But I do think they're at risk of making the playoffs, as is everybody to me, other than the top 3 teams. I mean, you look at those standings, the Jazz are at risk of not making the playoffs. The Kings, the Spurs, the Clippers, the Blazers, they're all at risk. Good. So I think the Lakers are. And if LeBron's out longer, yeah, they're definitely at risk.
Well, you did touch on the overall long-term big picture is the health here, and he is getting older, obviously, in his 16th season in the league. Where's the concern level on that as far as moving forward? I'm
very concerned. LeBron has never missed this many games. I mean, I know we've looked at him as superhuman, but we know this window is very small right now, championship. Whenever LeBron's on the team, it's championship or bust. And so, really, this is a throwaway year. I mean, they'll make the playoffs, maybe make some noise, get out the first round, but this championship or bust for LeBron. As he gets older, I don't want to risk further injury to him. I mean, they might be better off not even making the playoffs.
Whoa, this town.
I mean, let's see.
This town is already.
I disagree. I mean, you would know better. You're from here, but you sign LeBron and don't make the playoffs. I don't think you're going to have Lakers fans real happy. And I'm not real concerned about, though, him down the line. I mean, this isn't a structural thing. He didn't tear an ACL. He didn't tear an Achilles. He didn't even tear a rotator cuff or something in his shoulder. He's got a muscle injury. He'll heal. He's pretty much superhuman. I think he'll be fine down the road.
It's about the overall big picture, though.
Right.
I mean, I'm not saying they won't make not to make the playoffs, but this is the big picture. We know this is not a championship year. Now, next year, they're going to go all in.
Right.
They got the assets, say they get a pick. The next couple years after this is the years that you take advantage of.
So hard to ask people to wait another year, though. It's so hard. Anyways, Warriors made a statement last night, as if they were reminding us. High altitude of Denver, 51 first-quarter points, 10 threes, on their way to a 31-point beatdown over the Nuggets. They reclaimed first in the West, and even the Warriors seem to be quite impressed with their own performance.
Obviously, there's not going to be very many record-setting quarters every night, but it shows you what we're capable of when we're hitting on all cylinders. It's beautiful to watch, and it's more fun to be a part of.
I don't remember a better first quarter. That was a fireworks show.
Your reaction to that game?
Statement game, obviously.
What is that?
They look for motivation. There's certain things that motivate them throughout the year, and Denver being ahead of them is a motivation. That's why they're up for it.
Well, look, there's nobody who's best is better than the Warriors' best. We know that.
Right.
You know, now the Warriors haven't played at their best as often as some other teams this year, but everybody at their best, this is by far the best team. And look, I mean, a lot of these threes in the first quarter were 2 steps beyond the three-point line. So people who want to get on the Nuggets for not being ready, I don't know how you stop those shots.
Yeah, Paul.
Come on, this is the Warriors. They're bored with the season.
I do think they were
bored.
reminding
I agree
everyone.
with that.
They're bored with the
Yeah.
season.
I agree
This was just
with
a
that.
game. They're like, look, let's make a statement. Let's make a statement right now. This is the team ahead of us. Let's show them who the #1 team is.
It was an odd night for points. And then, of course, there's James Harden. You can pick any adjective you want. Sick, insane, unstoppable. Everything works. No Chris Paul, no Clint Capella, no problem. He had 57 points on Memphis on Monday. His efficient 57 on 33 attempts accounted for over half of his team's winning score. 17 straight games that he's had over 30 points. He plays tonight against the Nets, a team that we have all enjoyed watching this season so far. Let's look ahead, though, because postseason really is what it's all about, is the way he's been playing and the way that team is constructed right now going to work in the postseason.
I don't think so. I mean, you're going to need more than one guy. But look, they're going to get people back. I mean, they're going to get Capella back. They're going to get Chris Paul back. They're going to get Eric Gordon back. Right now, he has to carry the load, but that's not going to play in the postseason against better teams with time to prepare. They're going to come at him harder. Probably more double teams take the ball out of his hands. He's going to need some help.
My only concern is he's doing this because he has to. It's just that we know that James Harden is used to carrying a big load, but it just seems every year he has these great regular seasons. He seems worn down by the playoffs. I mean, but he's doing what he's got to do. I mean, it's going to be hard not to vote this guy for a 2-time MVP with the way he's playing, but he just has to carry such a load that I feel like it affects him by time.
It almost comes. Because you don't want to have a repeat of that Game 6 against the Spurs where a lot of people thought maybe he was tired because of the season he had to put. And, you know, if you don't change what you're doing, it's sort of the definition of insane. And right now I feel like we're watching him do everything. That cannot be a good method as we get closer to playoff time.
But they don't have a choice right
I
now.
agree.
They have nobody else. And look, we're talking about teams' risk of not making the playoffs.
Right.
Take him out of the lineup for a few games, and they'll slide right out of the playoff race. That's how close it is in the West. There's nothing guaranteed. They have no choice. And so he's got to carry this load. Look, he's got a couple things going for him. They play slow. He gets to the free throw line a lot, which he has to take some contact for, but he gets some rest. And to be generous, he picks his spots on defense. Not many of them either.
It's a very diplomatic way of saying that. Well done. Yeah, you know what? This is newsflash. Toronto's better with Kawhi. Fine. But did anyone think they'd be 7 games better than Boston halfway through this thing? We ask, how did that happen? Coming up, I think we're looking at the answer to my question. Plus, Paul sits down with Jason Tatum on his sophomore season, the expectations for his team, and how talented are they really? There are certain advantages to being the worldwide leader. You get to go to Disney World for free, if you're into that. And then, of course, we have Woj, our ESPN senior insider, and you know more than basically everybody.
I want to take the trip to Disney.
You don't, or you do?
No, I said you might want to take the trip to Disney.
It's raining, Woj. You can't even operate right now. Okay, let me ask you this. Mavericks, why are they looking to trade Dennis Smith Jr. in year 2?
A couple reasons. One, he and Rick Carlisle, their coach, have not been on the same page. I think he's been frustrated with his decision-making, maturity, and then the emergence of Luka Doncic. He's their playmaker now, and those two have not been productive together. They've seen, a much better pairing at times with Doncic and Jalen Brunson, the rookie from Villanova, who Carlisle is very fond of. And this roster is going to be built around Luka Doncic. That's how they're looking at their future. So he's been made available. They've had significant amount of talks, and they sat him for 3 games with what they're calling a back injury. Now they're saying he's sick. And I think the plan there is maybe he stays off the court until they can find a trade for him.
Does that surprise you at all, Stan? So early on in this kid's career?
No, not at all, because I think, he doesn't fit with Doncic, or at least they don't think he does, and that guy's going to have the ball in his hands all the time. So probably putting more shooting around him and not a guy who wants to go on his own as much, maybe fit better with them.
I'm a little surprised because I thought he was one of the better point guards coming out. Everybody talk about he could have been picked over Lonzo Ball or De'Aaron Fox. I mean, he's shown some talent out there. So, I mean, we don't know what his potential going to be, but he's a great athlete. He's still learning the game. So, I mean, I don't know, would you let him develop? And how much could you get for a rookie of this caliber on this contract anyway?
Yeah, and that's what that's what they're trying to figure out. Orlando's a team. They need help at that point guard position. And is there a package in Orlando, maybe with a player who's got years and money left on his contract, maybe one of their younger players? And one thing Dallas would like to do in any deal with Dennis Smith, could they attach Wes Matthews and his expiring contract to it?
I want to keep talking about trade deadline because that's obviously something we all are waiting on the calendar here. Pelicans, where are they as far as positioning themselves as we get closer?
Yeah, they want to continue to try to improve this team to convince Anthony Davis to stay there. Dell Demps, their GM, he told me, listen, we've won 2 or 3 games since we've gotten healthier. Nico Mirotic is back, Elfrid Payton, point guard, and he hasn't had a chance this year to really evaluate their whole group together. They've had a lot of injuries. They don't have a very long window to do that between now and the February 7th trade deadline. Rich Paul, Anthony Davis's agent, told me, they have not had any real substantial discussions about Anthony's future in New Orleans with the Pelicans. That Anthony's focus has been on, let's get this team back in. They're 2.5 games out of 8th place in the West. Let's try to get this, let's try to get the group back into the playoff picture. But there's no promises about his future beyond the trade deadline. I mean, I think it's safe to say right now, I think he'll be there certainly through the trade deadline. New Orleans does not want to trade him, and they're going to have to be forced into doing that. But their focus is, can we find another deal? Mirotic last year, really, that deal helped that team at the deadline. I don't know if that deal's out there for them, but they're trying to find one.
It's a stressful job.
Well, look, I mean, I sort of, the New Orleans thing as far as the talent around him is interesting to me. So they've got Drew Holiday having a career year. He's averaging over 20 points and 8 assists. They've got Julius Randle averaging 20 points and 9 rebounds. Peyton's been out, but they're 10-3 when he plays. To me, it's not as much a talent issue as get that whole group together, guard somebody, and guard somebody. You're 4th in the league offensively, regardless of all of the injuries. That should put you firmly into the playoff race.
25th
but you're 25th defensively.
Yikes.
Forget all this talk about talent, and as a group, commit to trying to stop someone.
And listen, that's what that team did, especially in that playoff series with Portland last year. They were the last, 2/3 of the season, they were among the better defensive teams in the league, and you saw the way they went at Portland and, swept them in a series that, I think people certainly thought was going to be a long series. That group is capable, and like Stan says, I think the health and getting a chance, to see what they can be together before they've got to make a decision here at the trade deadline.
I think not having Rondo really impacted that team.
Oh, I think he's more valuable than people realize. Roj, love having you in studio. Move to the West Coast. Our NBA Saturday games, that's right, they are upon us. Presented by HyperX Gaming on ABC. Begin this week. Thunder, Sixers, 3:30 Eastern. And then in our primetime game at 8:30 Eastern, it's the Lakers taking on the Rockets. Like everything else, you can also find everything on the app, which means you can watch it anywhere. I know, we're working this weekend, Paul. I hope you remembered that. Terry Rozier says the Celtics are, quote, too talented. 5th in the East, too talented. That talent will be tested against the first-place team Raptors, top of the hour.
In L.A. is the waiting game. LeBron James is expected to miss at least the next 2 games as the groin injury continues to keep him out. LeBron won't travel with the Lakers on an upcoming 2-game road trip, but has been cleared to practice when the team returns. The Lakers are 4-7 since LeBron was injured on Christmas Day. 11 straight games, missed already the longest he sat due to injury in his career. In fact, before this season, LeBron had only missed more than 5 straight games once. Great to have NBA insider Brian Windhorst with us here on SportsCenter. Brian, this news would mean LeBron would miss at least 13 games due to this groin injury. What are people around LeBron saying about the length of this absence?
It's going to be even more, Kevin. He's not going to play on Monday, almost certainly against the Warriors. And so this is going to be the longest absence of his career, and he's going to be the most games missed in a season in his career. They really want to be cautious with this. This is an injury that can linger. So what I think is you will see LeBron go through maybe more than one practice, which would mean sometime during the Lakers' upcoming 4-game homestand over the course of 8 or 9 days they're at home. Then they play a quote-unquote road game at the Clippers. So they're going to be in L.A. for a week and a half after this road trip. I would say sometime in there, but you're still looking at LeBron being out about a month now and a significant portion of games.
All right, now LeBron was an MVP frontrunner at the beginning of the season. James Harden is the clear frontrunner right now. 17 straight games with at least 30 points. He enters tonight's game against the Nets 3 games shy of Wilt Chamberlain for the longest streak in the last 55 years. We're talking about Chamberlain. And remember, no Chris Paul during most of this stretch with a hamstring injury. What's going to be the dynamic when CP3 returns to the floor here?
Whenever you're doing something that Will Chamberlain did statistically, it's amazing. That's an NBA rule. Chris Paul, obviously has been out during this entire stretch that he's gone on this hot streak. And when you talk to executives and scouts in the league, one of the things they're most interested to watch over this next 2 weeks is what happens to the Rockets when Chris Paul comes back, gets some of the possessions back. They run the offense through him. James Harden has excelled in having the ball in his hands at all times. That's going to change when Chris Paul comes back, probably in the next 7 to 10 days.
Yeah, keep this in mind. The 12 games Paul's been out, the Beard is averaging 42 points per game. Rockets hosting the Nets tonight. Wendy, thank you.